I don't know if it's better or worse than I thought it was going to be. It's more, now we know when you put frozen French fries in a food processor, this is what it looks like. Tastes like French fries. My name is Sam Clonts. I'm the chef owner of a restaurant called 63 Clinton, and we're here to cook some stuff today on the fly. I don't think I've ever done like a true mystery challenge, so this will be fun. All right, we're doing tailgate. Tailgate, I'm thinking, something easy to eat outside with your hands, something you can share with people, party mode before a game. So some nice oyster mushrooms, some frozen cherries, dark sweet and red tart cherries. All right, we got some frozen crinkle fries. Ooh, okay, some foie gras. We have some cheong sausage here. Ooh, okay. And some tofu. Quite a mix of ingredients. I feel like definitely the tofu is gonna be the harder one to incorporate. Foie gras and cherries, that could work really well. With mushrooms, that's easy. Some extra flavor from the sausage. That's all something that's, I think, gonna come together easy. The tofu is the one that's gonna be harder to incorporate. At first I was thinking almost taking it in a banh mi direction, using the foie gras kind of as like the liver paste, maybe doing like some kind of tofu spread, cooking the cheong with the mushrooms. So starting to build some ideas of flavors that are gonna work together. And then as I started thinking about vessel and how that's all gonna be served, trying to think about maybe using these fries as almost as a base, start making some like potato pancakes or something that's quick and easy to eat while you're tailgating. These potatoes are pre-cooked, so a lot of times you want all of the starch from raw potatoes to kind of help bind your pancakes. So we might need a little extra help with binding these, but I think other than that, I think they should come out pretty good. I'm gonna start by breaking up these potatoes in the food processor, kind of break them down to smaller pieces. So looking for something kind of in between like a McDonald's hash brown and a latke for consistency. Now we know when you put frozen French fries in a food processor, this is what it looks like. And not really measuring here because it's a brand new recipe that we're just making it up. So yeah, usually when I come up with new recipes, usually the first time I'll kind of just make it through once. When I try to remake it, I'll go through and weigh everything out. And then a little bit of salt as well. Do one more egg. It's soaked up a lot of the egg, so I might have to add a little bit more egg to get something more workable. It's gonna make it more fluffy, and you get a little bit less crispy on that. We're not trying to make, egg fritters. So here I'm just trying to see, like, when I pull it together, if it's gonna stay together in the kind of shapes that I'm looking for. So I found when making potato pancakes with regular potatoes, the kind of texture I'm looking for is something that just barely starts to bind together. I did my first little test patty here, just to kind of check and see how well it's gonna bind, if it's gonna stay together or just fall apart in the fryer. And hopefully it works out. We're gonna do some little oblong patties of potato. I feel like when you working with a balance of ingredients, things like frozen French fries and then higher end stuff like foie gras, I try to leave it as pure as possible, not try to mask it too much of what it is. So I think keep the foie simple like that. Gonna make some kind of tofu spread, maybe find another ingredient to flavor that as well. The cherries, I think I'm gonna pickle, kind of get a nice little punch of acid. It's gonna work really well with the foie gras as well. I think it's all coming together slowly. Tastes like French fries. Pretty happy with that. Since we got this tailgate theme, trying to go for little football-shaped pancakes, keep it light, keep it fun. I think there's definitely been more of a trend lately, in the past 10 years of fine dining. It's gotten more playful, maybe not taken quite as seriously. I think people are just trying to have more fun with it, and that kind of old school buttoned up suit and tie formal way is not necessarily everyone's favorite way to eat. So even like at 63 Clinton, we're not necessarily putting, funny faces and football shapes into food, but we still try not to take ourselves too seriously. So first time pickling cherries, but it's something that I know is definitely gonna work well because it's already got some sweetness and acid. So we're using the pickling to kind of just boost up that the punch of the cherries. I was thinking about everything that is going to be on this dish with the tofu spread, especially the foie. Always bringing in some kind of acid or pickle to kind of help cut through that, just make it a more fresh bite, something more enjoyable to eat, especially when you're before a football game, you're outside in the sun, you need something refreshing, not just hot, heavy. I don't know, I guess for whenever I'm pickling something, it breaks down usually into one of two ways for vinegar pickle, either hot pickle or cold pickle. So something like maybe cucumbers, something that you can pickle cold because they want to soak up that liquid really, really quickly. Something cherry or anything more hearty, like maybe the onions or anything that needs maybe to break down a little bit before it can soak up that vinegar. I always do with hot vinegar and pour it over. So my vinegar and sugar just came to a boil, so now I'm just gonna pour it over these cherries. Then I'll wrap this up, put it in the fridge, let them cool down. We'll bring them back out at the end when they're ready. So next I'm going to make a tofu spread. It's gonna go on top of the potato pancake, add a little bit of creaminess. I'm gonna mix in some cilantro as well, as a little bit of soy sauce into this tofu. Cilantro also, not only for flavor, but I thought it'd be a nice little color component for the dish. Gonna give it a little taste for flavor, see if the seasoning's there. Do a little bit more soy sauce. I'm just thinking about the overall seasoning. Make sure each step along the way is seasoned right so that at the end, everything works well together. So this is all pureed and mixed up. It's a little loose right now, but what I remember from blending tofu is we'll set up a little bit more in the fridge. So I think it'll be perfect by the time we're ready for it. I think next we're gonna cut some foie. So this foie, I'm gonna treat it pretty simply. Basically just gonna take a couple slices that we're gonna sear later. It's very simple seared foie gras. Working with foie, I think is definitely one of the more intimidating ingredients to work with, because it is one of those things that is, obviously a little bit more expensive. So you have that pressure of you don't wanna waste something you just spent money on. And I think it just takes time and experience to get a good feel of what you're doing with it. I mean, I'm always a fan of hotter foie preparations over like cold terrines or anything like that. I think it highlights the natural product better. Just to kind of have the fat warm gives it a better experience than cold. So I have a couple fillets of this. I'm gonna go through and give it a light score. Scoring, one, it kind of helps render it as you sear, but mostly it just makes it look nice. So now I'm gonna cut up the sausage and mushrooms that are gonna get all cooked together later. So this lapchong sausage, it's a fun ingredient to work with. Obviously you're getting all the kind of flavors that you get with a sausage or a ground meat, but there's all these extra spices and flavorings that just add this big punch of flavor. It can definitely overwhelm other things it's going with, but I think these mushrooms are gonna stand up nicely with it. The mushrooms probably won't need much salt just because the sausage is gonna add a lot of that seasoning already. I feel like these are a pretty good mushroom for this dish. Even I was thinking about something like morel, but that probably is a little bit too tender, too mild. I think I'm gonna like more the texture that these mushrooms are gonna have. But like maitake would have been good. Even chanterelles could have been really nice. So we're coming down to the last couple minutes. Everything's ready to go. I've got the obviously football-shaped potato pancakes. Those are gonna start frying. Same time, I'm gonna start cooking the sausage, the lapchong, and then add the mushrooms in there as well. We're also gonna sear the foie gras. I have the cilantro tofu spread chilling, and the pickled cherries also chilling, so I'll bring those out once everything's cooked. So I'm not trying to make, like lardones out of the sausage, just trying to get a little bit of color, start rendering out the fat. I'm gonna add in some of these mushrooms to kind of help cook down with the sausage and all that fat that came out of there. Composing this whole kind of idea in one bite because it's something that you want easy to eat. You've got to think about all these textures. Obviously the pancake's gonna have a nice base layer of crispiness to kind of hold everything together. The foie is gonna add a little bit unctuousness, and then cooked mushrooms also adding another layer of flavor and textures. And then these crispy little sausage will kind of give you little pops of flavor as well. The idea of putting together one perfect bite, I think you want a balance of obviously not just flavors, fat and acid, salty and sweet, but also that combination of textures. I think keep it interesting for while you're eating, so you have something soft, something crunchy, something maybe more tender. And these combinations of things, to me anyway, add up to an ideal bite. All right, so potatoes are almost there, mushrooms are getting close. I'm gonna start cooking some foie now. So foie, I like to go fairly high heat, hot pan already, put the foie in no oil. Basically it has enough oil, you can already see the fat coming out of the foie. And then try to get the perfect thinness, so by the time I get a nice medium sear on both sides, it'll be perfectly cooked. It's American football, I assume, is the most popular tailgate, so I'm gonna put some meat on the bones. So just kind of checking to see how the searing's going. I want to get a little bit more color on there. All right, our sausage is done. So our footballs just came out. They're ready to go, ready for game time. Foie is coming out now. Went a little dark on the foie. It's gonna taste great. So now time to assemble our little bites. We'll start with a little bit of this cilantro tofu sauce. Go with foie gras right on top. It's gonna be a big bite, but it's gonna taste great. A couple pickled cherries in there. There it is. Let's give it a taste. Not bad. A little more salt. Forgot to season the foie. I mean, I think flavor came together pretty well. Obviously missed a little seasoning. I like all the acidity from the cherries, really nice with the foie. It's good herbal notes. The tofu adds a nice little creaminess. Still get that classic, freezer fried potato flavor that you can't replicate. I think taste, I'd say, let's go like a humble 7. Taste-wise, I think could have punched up the flavors a little bit more. So maybe more cherries, more seasoning in the tofu and the potato, but all just minor tweaks. Execution, 8.5. I don't know, I feel like for tailgate, I feel like it's a healthy size. You're not gonna eat 6 of them, but you make one for all your friends.